Olá, meus amigos, que a paz de Jesus te alcance. Eu sou o Jonathan Ferreira. Estamos iniciando mais um vídeo aqui no canal Vivendo Experiência com Deus. Olha, se você não é inscrito a primeira vez, eu convido a você a se inscrever no canal. Você que já é inscrito, deixa o seu joinha, o seu comentário. Muito obrigado também, você que já é inscrito. Eu peço que Deus te abençoe. Abençoe poderosamente a sua casa, a sua família. Bom, recentemente, o Carlos Felipe soltou um vídeo falando de Ravi Zacarias, ou Ravi Zacarias. E eu gostaria também de deixar um outro vídeo aqui para que você possa assistir. Será mesmo que Jesus realmente se importa com você? Assista esse vídeo, pause o vídeo, leia, ali as legendas e acompanhe o vídeo até o final, beleza? Um forte abraço e um bom vídeo para você.
How you doing?
Very well, thanks.
Good.
I'll find out in a minute. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I got a lot from what you said tonight, so
Thanks so
you,
much.
starters. But there's been a question that's it's really simple, and it's been troubling me for some time, and it's just that for God to be the Creator, your Father, your friend, is He at all concerned about your happiness?
Great question. That is, there's a book that I have written called The Cries of the Heart, in which I raise one chapter on that very, almost verbatim, the way you have raised it. And it comes from the mouth of Job. And it also comes in the New Testament, where the person talks about one being born blind, Does God really feel? There is such a thing as the theologians will talk about the passivity of God, that somehow God is distant in his feeling response to you and me, and whether he is concerned about what happens in this world. I would suggest to you that if you're able to pick that up, go through it in detail, but let me respond as briefly as I can and somehow touch the nerve of your question. It is this, that when we use language, we use it in three ways. Thomas Aquinas reminded us of this. We use language univocally, we use language equivocally, we use language analogically. Let me explain the terms. When we use language univocally, we are meaning the same thing when we use the word in two different sentences. If I say that I love you, and I say my brother loves you too, you will understand the word to basically mean the same thing. You won't start probing it unless you have questions of the way that has been expressed. You're not going to say, I wonder if these mean two different things. No, it's a univocal usage, one-on-one. Now, an equivocal use of the same illustration would be something like this, as I illustrated before. If you ask me, are you a good tennis player? And I say yes. And a few hours later, you're on a plane and somebody's sitting next to you. You say, what's your name? And he says, I'm Roger Federer. And you say, what do you do for a living, sir? He says, I play tennis. And you say, are you a good player, Mr. Federer? And he says, yes, I'm a good player. You'd make a huge mistake in saying, I think you need to play Ravi Zacarias, because he also says he's a good player. It's the same word, but a completely different context. And so it's a different context, giving it a whole new meaning of what it means to be a good tennis player. So you use it univocally, you use it equivocally, but then you also use it analogically. When I tell you that God loves you, and then I tell you I love you, it's the same word, but has a different implication. When I love you and you refuse to love me, I hurt because I have lost something. When God loves you and you refuse to love God, God hurts too. God hurts because you have lost something. That's the analogical use. He is concerned. That's why he sent his son to die on the cross. The Bible tells how Jesus went to the top of a mountain and he looked at a city and he wept over it. When he saw his friend Lazarus was dead, he wept over that. But remember this, the God who created you and me is the same God who is able to restore you and me. So when I see somebody who's lost his life, I would weep for a completely different reason because I cannot restore that life. But when Christ wept, he knew he was going to restore the life of Lazarus, but he wept for you and for me, knowing the pain that comes from observing death and observing separation, even though he was going to restore that life. So the concern is there with the power to restore that which was lost. And when you are in pain or suffering or whatever it is, that same God gives you the strength to endure it. I lost my mother fairly young in life. I lost my father fairly young in life, and I've had some serious issues that I've had to wrestle with even physically. As I stand before you, I've got 2 metal rods holding my back up, which I injured very seriously some years ago. And I've found through all of this, his grace is sufficient. A woman who was blind and cancerous and arthritic and orphaned wrote these words, "He giveth more grace when the burdens grow greater. He sendeth more strength when the labors increase. To added affliction he addeth his mercy. To multiplied trials his multiplied peace. When we have exhausted our store of endurance, when our strength has failed ere the day is half done, when we reach the end of our hoarded resources, our Father's full giving has only begun. His love has no limit, his grace has no measure, his power has no boundaries known unto men. For out of his infinite riches in Jesus he giveth and giveth and giveth again." He cares and he gives. And one of the ways this world will know that he cares is if you and I, if we know him and love him, go and extend that caring hand to somebody who needs it. We then embody that truth, not just in words, but we do it in action.